All right, guys, here's the next project. Look at this baby. She's a cream puff. So this is a 1955. This is actually a 3/4 ton, a 3600. 235 straight six. I do not believe that is the original motor, but it is the right motor. But this looks to be a 1951 block, or at least 51 casting number. It's got a really odd serial number on the block, and I'll post that here. If you take a look, you can see between I believe it's JAD, and then the number, the block code, the actual serial number of the motor. There's a Roman numeral 2 stamped in between those two, like 2-letter I. I don't know what that means. Is that for Series 2? Did they have a 51 block, 51 235 still laying around? And, lots of weird stuff went on in 55. So anyway, I'm going to try to get it running, see if it'll run. But you can see no doors. No, those are, lighten her up, get it going faster. It has a full floater rear end in it. Frame looks really good. Body's a total mess. Something really strange going on with this interior inner fender well here. If anybody knows what this is all about. The ones that I've seen are all flat right here. They go all the way back. And I spoke to a gentleman yesterday who was I was working with on some parts, and he's never seen this before either. Check out the custom wooden battery box, right? Jealous? Yep. All the other inner fender wells are like this. They just, all the way to the back. But this one has some odds going on in there. But it look, it's all stamped. It's all in there. I don't know. It's not bent or destroyed. It's clearly the way it was meant to be. It's got, it's all one piece. I don't know. I can't figure it out. I don't know what that is. If you have any ideas, let me know. It's got the original Rochester 1-barrel with the oil bath air filter, a sports sock oil cap, of course. That makes it nice. Generator. All the wiring seems to be intact. So I'm going to throw a battery in it. I'll probably pull the plugs first, but I'll throw a battery in it. The oil actually has got some viscosity, so it hasn't run for many, many years, but I don't see any reason why it won't run. So I'll throw a battery in it, do a compression check, and see what we got, but see if the starter works. It has a floor pedal starter. So you hit a pedal which engages a little button. That pedal comes down and engages the button on the starter, and that cranks it over. Pretty awesome. So anyway, we'll try some stuff here and see if we can't get this running today. But I'll bring you along as I see things. Plugs don't look too bad. They are the classic Champion J11s. But yeah, I've seen worse. I mean, they're all pretty much the same. Yeah, a little smoky. They probably just enough to test this again. So this is a 235. Like I said, I believe it's a 1951 235. Check out loving the battery box. I just noticed the custom hold down. You go across the top of the battery and then wrap it around that nail. It's perfect. It's not going anywhere. It's awesome. So yeah, I grabbed the fan. I can rotate the motor. It's not locked up. So yeah, I think I'm encouraged so far. I don't know if there's any fluid in it or not. I can't see anything from the top, and that clamp down there seems to be way out, like it was I'm looking right at cores here, I think. Yep, I can't feel anything in there. So, you know, hopefully it doesn't just run right out of the bottom of it somewhere. But we're a ways away from putting anything in that. Let's just see if we can get it to fire first. I did order a rebuild kit for that carburetor because I got to believe that that's ready for some love. I'm gonna grab a battery, throw it up on here and see what it'll do. And yeah, we'll see what happens. Well, yeah. So did a compression check on it. Well, first I went to go to roll it over, and sure enough, the starter wouldn't engage. I pulled the starter out, and ultimately just found that it wasn't, I didn't need to do that. There's a little cover over the top of where the terminal is on that, and it's held on by 2 screws. You just pull that off, and that shows you, that exposes the electrical connection. So when that little button gets pushed in from the lever, which is the pedal in the floor, that button just connects that hot wire down to the starter. Well, it was all crudded up and greasy and stuff, so I just cleaned it up, and then the starter worked fine. One thing I have, well, okay, so we engaged the starter, did a little compression test, had my uncle here helping me, and the compression, well, I was struggling to get oil in those cylinders just to kind of lube them up a little bit, but it was on the high end 120, the low end was about 95. So that's quite a split, but it sat for an awful long time. So I'll do it again once I get it running. So once we had it rolling over, and then we tried to get spark out of it, no spark, none at all. Now what I have noticed is there is that little terminal on the side of the starter down there. I don't know if I can get you in there to see that. But right above the battery terminal, this ain't working. There's a little, okay, there it is. You can see it just a little bit under that cable. There's a little terminal on the side of that switch. That's the terminal that's supposed to gives you 12 volts when the starter's engaged. And what you do with that is you run that up to the hot side of the coil. So it puts directly 12 volts on the coil, not through the resistor while it's cranking. I've researched this a little bit. Some guys say you don't need that. Some guys say you do. Some won't start without it. Some will, but this didn't have it. And it looks like it was just, you know, deleted at some point. So I am going to put that back because I got no spark. The coil wasn't perfect when I measured it, but it wasn't horrible either. The cap and rotor actually looked okay. The plug wires are a little loose, but I'm getting nothing. So we troubleshooted it down. I filed the points a little bit, no avail. So ultimately what I did was, and then I pulled the condenser. We tested the condenser, and the condenser does not test right. Condensers are very tricky to test. They're just a big capacitor. And you have to, you know, watch how fast they charge and watch how fast they decay. But it's not great. So for the cost of a condenser, so I bought just a basic tune-up kit, you know, everything, cap, rotor, points, condenser, plugs, wires, coil even, what the hell. Just blitz it. I don't have time to sit here and troubleshoot this, so I would much rather have this running well when I sell it than skipping and popping and, you know, not just, you know, let's not get lazy with it. I've also got the rebuild kit now for the carburetor. So I'm going to pull the carburetor, bring that into the shop where there's AC because it's like 100 out here. Oh yeah, the other thing that happened to us is when we started to crank it over the compression test, we filled this little bowl with something, I don't even know what that is. Was once gasoline. So the fuel pump's working, but I disconnected it from the carburetor. I didn't want to risk pushing any of that in there. It was horrible. So I'm going to pull the carburetor off, rebuild that, just take it apart, clean it, put a, you know, replace the gaskets, replace the accelerator pump, which I'm sure has to be dried out, completely gone. Then I'm going to pull the distributor and put new points, condenser, everything in that. They claim the easiest way to do these is to literally just pop it out of there, put it on the bench, get it to top dead center, put it on the bench, and straighten it out. So first thing I'm going to do is the carb. Then I'll come back and approach the distributor and get that out of there. And then once that's done, I should be in pretty good shape. I have a regular standard fuel filter for it. Took the bowl setup off. That's out of there now. So I should be able to just throw that back together and have at least a carburetor that I am somewhat certain will work. So that's my plan. I think I have everything at this point. There is a missing terminal on the side of the distributor. It was like taken out and then they just screwed directly to the points or something. I've got to look that over when I get it out of there, but I'll figure that out. I ordered one, but I just don't know when it'll be here. As you can imagine, distributor terminal for a 1951 point setup might be a little tough to come by. So anyway, gonna just keep tinkering on this and see if I can make it work. And there it is, the infamous Rochester 1-barrel powerhouse right there. Look at that. Some fun facts about this thing. So it has a manual choke wire cable. Comes in here and pulls, applies choke. Of course, it's not really free to open right now. So that's kind of neat. But then it has another cable that comes down here. The throttle rod comes up from the bottom and attaches to this point here. But then there's a cable that comes down and also attaches to that and pulls that up a little bit, and that it's the idle. So there's a little pull handle, almost like a choke, that you use to adjust your idle. There's also an idle screw, but hey, these things weren't. You had to know how to drive. I mean, it has a pull choke, a manual transmission. If the instructions are in cursive, we'd have a whole generation that wouldn't even know how to operate this thing or where to start. So now this is cool too. This is an oil bath air bonnet. So literally the air comes down through here and it has oil and drain oil in the bottom of it, or they always use drain oil, but and it traps any dust in that oil before it gets up into the filter, the paper filter, which is under here, hopefully. So yeah, also kind of a neat fact. Obviously they did away with those years ago. I believe there's a paper filter in it. I could be wrong. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, something in there. I don't know. I'll figure out how to get in there. It's not what I expected. But anyway, that's how those worked. And it was, again, just drawing air over a pool of oil to try to trap any dust before it gets up into the element. Anyway, all right, I'm going to pull this carburetor apart and see what we have. How long do you think that would have lasted? I'm not sure you can see dust floating around in this thing. But, hey. Look at that. Here we go. Ready? That's crazy. And that's just aluminum oxidation coming from the inside of this casting. Yeah, glad I didn't try to just roll that over. But everything seems to be here. I don't see anything catastrophic. Just needs a lot of cleaning. All the shafts are going to have to come out. Everything's going to have to come apart to make this work. So, you just got to deal with it. I want to see a good example of a completely dried out accelerator pump. There it is. Wow. It's just like dust. That's crazy. But very cool. All right, gotta keep going. Okay, I'm gonna put these parts in the tumbler. The lower throttle paddle arm, lower throttle paddle, butterfly. This is the choke arm, vacuum port, air screw, choke paddle, choke arm, upper to lower. This is also part of the throttle arm. This is the cable bracket, 4 screws to hold the lid on, jet bar screw. This is to hold the secondary plate on. There's a little E-clip for that. The heavier spring is for the choke arm. Lighter spring is for the throttle arm. I'm not going to put the small screws in the tumbler because I'll never see them again. That's about it. Oh, and I'm going to throw this spring in there too. This is the accelerator pump spring. Won't hurt to get that good and cleaned. I'll throw those in the tumbler for a couple of hours with the plastic media, and let's see what we get. It's alive! It actually sounds really good. A little smucky, but I put a lot of shit in the cylinder, so I'm not surprised by that. Now listen to this thing. She's ready to go down the road. Okay, here's where we're at. I went through, rebuilt the carburetor as you saw, put all that back together, came out good, everything seems fine. I put a new coil. The points I got didn't work because the bulkhead that goes out through the bulkhead terminal that goes through the side of the distributor was missing. And they had some points in here that had a terminal on the points. I've ordered that bulkhead. It'll be here in a few days. So I just put the old points back in with a new condenser, cleaned them all up. Still no fire, no spark. So I'm like, what the hell? So I went and threw this red alligator clip on here, and that's the wire I was telling you about from the side of the starter, the side pole on the starter, up to the hot side of the coil. And what that does is gives full 12 volts to the coil while you're cranking. Because as the voltage drops while you're cranking, it drops significantly through the resistor, and the coil doesn't have enough. Sure enough, it fired. Yeah, I was starting to get spark. I had my timing light pointed through the windshield, and I was starting to see flashes of life. So I said, okay, I'll put that jumper on there and leave that on there for now. Splashed a little 2-stroke down the throat. And then I decided, well, maybe I should scope the gas tank. I went in and looked. It's pretty rusty, but it looked like it had integrity. So just for the hell of it, I dumped some fuel in it, hooked up the fuel pump, pumped it into a jug until it was running fairly clear. There was, a lot of crap in the lines and whatnot. Then it started and actually ran damn good. I'm very impressed. It's smoky, but I dumped a bunch of oil in the cylinders, checking compression and whatnot. But it started right up. I'm confident enough, I actually put some antifreeze in it. So, yeah, it's even green. So, yeah, that's quite exciting. I'm gonna put a permanent wire on to the starter to replace my alligator clip. I'm gonna try it now that it's been running a little bit without that on, just to see if it'll start. My guess is it'll start, but it'll start harder. Right now, it jumps right to life. So pretty impressed with it. I'm going to just throw the timing light on it because I did have the distributor out. It's weird. There's a little hole in the back. I don't know if you can see that. There's a hole right about here. hang on. There's a hole down in there on the back, right? So you're looking at the back of the flywheel, or the front of the flywheel, I guess. And the timing mark's on the flywheel. So I'm just going to throw a timing light on it and make sure it's somewhat near close, but it's running so good I don't know how it couldn't be. But I'm going to try it again and see what I have. And then I'll probably just draw a line under this for now until I get somebody interested in picking this up. But it's got all new ignition, rebuilt carburetor, and it runs. So can't really complain about that. But you know, this is obviously an old motor. It needs to be rebuilt. There's no doubt about it. But at least you're starting from something that's not destroyed to begin with. So yeah, I'm going to do one more check on all the fluids, make sure everything's okay. Carburetor seems to be working fabulous. The choke works good. Matter of fact, too good. I had it choked right out when I started it, and I forgot I had pulled that choke, you know, child of the 80s. And as soon as I popped that choke in, it smoothed right out and ran like a kitten. It was beautiful. So anyway, I'm going to just poke around a little bit more and then draw a line under this thing, I guess. Okay, so I've gone through, just checked everything for leaks. I don't see any fuel leaks. Actually got heat in the radiator, which is good. And it doesn't seem to be pissing out on the floor, which is even better. I spoke too soon. I think I just saw a drip. Anyway, a little drip isn't going to kill me. I even checked the generator, and it's charging. It's sitting right at 14 volts. Amazing. So, anyway, back to the project. What should we do with this rig? I mean, she's awesome. She's awesome. But I'll give you a hint. That body is a little too far gone for me even to try to tackle it, but this thing is mint. I can work this out, get it on a, you know, I'm thinking either put a Camaro front clip under it, 9-inch rear end, build a nice little, you know, pro touring truck, pull the body off this, throw away everything I don't need for spare parts, sell the frame and motor. You know, that's kind of where I'm headed with it. If you guys got any ideas or something cool to do, there's not much left of this body. Its time has come and gone. But, you know, I do have some savable parts here, and like I said, this motor and running gear will make somebody a good little setup. So, is what it is. I'm interested in your comments. Put some stuff out there. Tell me what you think. Like, I'm inclined to do way too much, I think. So we'll see. But again, this is the next project. This won't happen until after the Firebird is done. From the same guy, I did pick up a whole front end, radiator support, hood, fenders, inner fenders, everything. So I've got everything but the rear body right now. This again, I mentioned to you, this has the Ford full floater in it. Look at that. Exhaust blowing right on the drive shaft. Handy. But hey, at least it's blowing. There's no mouse house in there. I figured that would be plug solid. But, you know, look at this. It's got the heavy duty springs, the 3/4 ton setup. I think what I really want to do is pull this cab off, measure this entire frame up, put it in CAD, design a frame for it, and build my own. You know, I could use the Camaro front clip from the Firebird. Could even use that Firebird rear end if I wanted to. But I'm thinking, nah, let's build a whole new chassis. What the hell? Done it before. Could be cool. So anyway, tell me what you guys think. But old Mater, she fired up. It actually runs pretty decent. I can't believe it, but it does. Anyway, give me your thoughts. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, like, share, do all that jazz. Later.